other things do. I expect our meeting to be nothing like the things my daughter tries to watch on YouTube.
It's too bad.
I expect our meeting to be nothing like the things my daughter tries to watch on YouTube. It's too bad.
Yes. I ain't going nowhere.
All right, Joe, it is 5:15 and we have, let's see, we have a quorum.
Okay.
So you are welcome to start whenever you're ready.
All right, then we'll call the meeting to order.
And I think we do need to do a roll call since we're digital here. So.
Okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yes. Okay, Joe Cassidy.
Here.
Robert Johnson. Joel Dickerson.
Sorry, here. I'm sorry.
Who is that, Joel?
Robert Johnson.
Robert, okay.
Joel's on vacation.
Got it, okay. Chris Gorgon.
Here.
Kevin Yates.
Here.
Shane Flaker.
Here.
Brian Tibbs.
Here.
And Lorelei Cox.
She is not here.
All right. No introduction. So is there a motion to approve the minutes of May 20th meeting?
You should have the minutes in your packet. Be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I believe that was Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin, sorry.
Tibbs will second.
And then do we need to do a roll call here or?
I think we do need to do a roll call vote, yes.
Okay. Then
so you just need to call each name and they need to vote.
Okay, Joe Cassidy.
Aye.
Robert Johnson.
Aye.
Chris Gorgon.
Aye.
Kevin Yates.
Aye.
Shane Flaker.
Aye.
Brian Tibbs.
Aye.
Okay.
And then sorry, Joe. You should have two sets of bills. I sent you one today. You know, sometimes we're a little tight on the, closing up the month, and this was one of those months, with everything going on. I sent you May with your board packet and June today. These bills do not look anything like they normally do in May and June for obvious reasons. Lot less expenses, little things here and there as we were beginning to acquire some supplies for when we opened back up, but it doesn't look anything like our normal May and June. I'd be happy to answer any questions about bills that you have.
I was just kind of curious about one entry in June. I think it was like a nuisance animal removal, something like that.
Joe, let me tell you, I could tell you about my 4-year battle with groundhogs at this building. And the baby groundhogs that would stand up on the top of a rock outside my office window and taunt me. But we think we have them now for the time being. Good. So we'll see what happens.
You need to get Bill Murray from Caddyshack out there.
I think we need something. We need something at this point, Joe.
The children scared them away.
The children scared them away, we hope. We hope they had babies. They were here so long.
Yep.
Are there any other questions? So then I guess we'll move to the May financial report.
Oh, we need to do a roll call vote first.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve bills.
Okay.
Yates will second.
Okay. Joe Cassidy.
Aye.
Robert Johnson.
Aye.
Chris Gorgon.
Aye.
Shane Plaker,
Aye.
and then we have Tibbs and Yates.
Aye.
All right, then
Now-
financial reports are up next. And so, similar thing, I kind of gave you that overview last time. We're definitely working on sort of what that will look like next year, right? Everything's kind of in the blender at this point, which, I'll talk about in a minute. But our numbers are significantly down. We have some programs that, just simply have not run. So those revenues are affected in those ways that I communicated last to you. I'll have some more firm revised numbers here before long for you. Hopefully somewhat more firm by next month, but as you know, everything changes every day. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about that.
No, do you still have a full-time staff or have you made some cuts?
We currently have one full-time opening. And we also eliminated, we currently have, so we have one full-time position that's open. And then we also are not, we cut our administrative assistant position, which was a permanent part-time position. And those are cost-saving opportunities for us right now.
So can we still, with everything that's going on, so you don't have to really fill that position right now? And
We
still
don't have to. As we kind of assess how we will ramp up and what that might look like, there's a lot of big question marks out there for a lot of people, and us included. So for instance, Special Olympics just recently put out kind of some return to play guidelines. Those are questionable. We're still trying to figure out really what that means for us. There's not a lot of team sport opportunities right now. So we're in a decently staffed position right now. Yes, Robert.
Okay.
For 2021, I don't have that answer for you yet because we're still building what that might look like. And building, a couple contingency plans like everybody is. I don't, obviously budget is something we will consider. We won't be able to run programs beyond our capacity to with staff, right? We've got a core group of great part-time staff, but that staff that is a challenge when we don't fill that part-time position. We don't have that part-time position filled. That does make a challenge. And if we don't have an administrative assistant, that means Brooke's doing a little more of that, which means she's less support to us in other ways. So there's all those challenges too. But in the foreseeable future, there are some things we simply aren't going to be able to do, like team sports for periods of time. We're looking at alternative things, but they, some of that depends on what other teams will be doing. So I'm comfortable with where we're at right now, Robert, I think is the short answer to that question. And
Mhm.
we'll, I'm sure, be discussing it every month as we move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Any other questions?
Is there a motion to approve the financial report?
So moved.
I'll second that, Shane.
We'll do a roll call.
Okay, Joe Cassidy,
Aye.
Robert Johnson,
Aye.
Chris Corrigan,
Aye.
Kevin Yates,
Aye.
Shane Plaker,
Aye.
Brian Tibbs.
Aye.
So I think Lorelei is just joining us. And if she was sitting there in the waiting room for a minute, I'm really, really sorry because I get kind of caught up in answering questions and sometimes don't notice that someone's come on. Lorelei, are you with us?
Yep.
Sorry about that if you sat for too long. I think the next thing is our director's report, correct, Joe?
Yep.
Okay, so I've sent you a couple of emails with a decent amount of information in them. So I don't know, I know you're all very busy people and I don't know how much time you've had to pour over that or not. But I'm just gonna kind of give you an overview, and then I would be more than happy to answer any questions. So we, as a team, put together an outbreak plan. We took that to the local health department, worked with Monica Hendrickson, who's the administrator there, had her review and approve our outbreak plan so that we could start up programming here in July. We felt that as we were hearing from families, there was a sincere need for our services. And so we have started our Camp Free to Be program with smaller numbers, right? Because we have to have lower capacity. Our Summer Days program and our Focus program. We've moved our Summer Days program and our Focus program to alternative locations so that we don't have as many people in the building. We can kind of control how many people are coming and going at one time. At our Camp Free to Be program, because our numbers are a little bit larger, we've staggered those drop-offs, things like that. All of that's kind of outlined in that outbreak plan I sent you, if you had a chance to read that. Like I said, we worked with Monica Hendrickson at Peoria City County Health Department, and she was really great to work with and was super helpful with the development of that plan. And then we spent about a week training our staff and preparing them for that, did a large portion of that online, did some of it in smaller groups here in this building and in other places, and then preparing locations to kick off programming. So we are in week 2 of programming for the summer, and everything looks different than it normally does. It's not the same camp and focus that we're used to, but people are happy to be back. They're happy to be active. We are focusing, particularly in our Camp Free to Be program, in teaching the skills of social distancing and working on wearing those masks and how to take mask breaks and where to take mask breaks and things like that, that will hopefully give some of those kiddos a leg up when school starts, which should be really helpful. So we basically took the phase 4 or phase 3 guidelines from the department, DCEO, and the DCFS childcare guidelines and sort of meshed them together to develop our outbreak plan. So we're thrilled with how staff are doing. They're really doing a great job. They're very diligent. We do hourly sanitization and our staff are on it. I see them every hour come up into the lobby and go into each of their assigned spaces and do that. It's really impressive. I know the other 2 sites are just going just as well. What we did was we assigned Brooke to one site and then Sabrina Cantrell to another site. So we actually don't cross for these 4 or 5 weeks. We won't interact in person because that would cross contaminate. And then if something happened, we'd have to shut down all sites as a result of that. So
Katie, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I can second everything you're saying. Your group that's right outside my office has been top notch. I mean, if you were standing right there, they couldn't do any better. They've been phenomenal I think we're on the 2nd week of 4, and I can't say enough about just what I observe as on a daily basis.
That's really awesome to hear. Thanks for saying that, Kevin. Yeah, it's the feedback that I'm getting from the staff there is just really positive. So it's great to hear that from your perspective as well. I should mention big thanks to Chillicothe Park District for allowing us to use Shore Acres and Peoria Park District for allowing us to use Bicycle Safety Town for our Summer Days program. It's been really phenomenal, particularly with that Summer Days program, because it is experiencing, well, Summer Days and Focus, really, those 2 programs are experiencing the most major changes because they were largely community-based programs in the summer. And that community-based experience and instruction that happened for those programs was just really important to those participants and those families. And when we got to the point where we couldn't take quote unquote field trips, that changed the nature of those programs. Well, being in Shore Acres Park is like being on a 4-week field trip for them, which is awesome. And being at Safety Town, Brooke could probably speak to it, but it's also the same way. They have access to the trail. The trail takes them straight to Donovan Park. there's just so many options for them that are really easy to get to. And they actually start every morning with a walk on the trail, which is awesome. So there's just a lot of really great things happening, and our staff have really figured out how to make lemonade with lemons. So it's been really nice. Just to kind of give you a quick update, our evening and weekend programs, while we have camps going on, we're not operating anything else in the building. We'll look at kicking off some center-based here at HISRA programming after that camp is over, so maybe mid-August. We're working on what that will look like now. We're working on kind of like a 4-week session that can sort of repeat. We'll also do some outdoor things while the weather is still nice, which will be nice. Our Special Olympics program, we just recently received the return to play guidelines from Special Olympics Illinois, and we're kind of working through those and how that might impact what we do. We aren't going to see team sports probably anytime soon, but we have the opportunity to probably do some like fitness and individual skill type things and sports that will open up here for us before long. And then we'll kick off some of those other things that are sort of important, like that parents' night out after our camp program is over. Right now with camp going, we're stretched pretty thin from a staff perspective. So it just really doesn't make sense. And a lot of those participants who take part in like a parents' night out are in our camp programs. So it really just kind of makes sense to focus on that for the 4 to 5 weeks and then go from there. But I also included our outbreak plan because I thought it might be of interest to you. And I thought it'd be good for you to have access to that. I'm not going to read through it for you. I would be more than happy to answer any questions you have about that. Like I said, we use the DCEO guidelines, and we were working with phase 3 because, phase 4 didn't come out until 4 weeks before phase 4 started, or 4 days. But then we also looked at what DCFS childcare guidelines were as well, because they do things like personal care and feeding and things that we sometimes do. So we included that as well. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about that.
Are the camps at capacity right now as far as how many campers you can have there?
We had, we potentially have a couple of spots that we could add people. However, we sort of committed with our outbreak plan that once we started camps, we weren't going to add people to it. And that was kind of, there's some speculation. We're still figuring out what some of these guidelines really mean, right? There's a lot of like when practicable and, things like that. And that the reason why we have a couple of spots where we could maybe add someone is we had a couple of people who dropped out. But the way that camps kind of work for us, Joe, is that like it's got to be the right person who fits in that group and has the right staff to participant ratio based on who we have here and trained, right? Sure. So it's not kind of like any person that could fit in that spot.
So how many, are there a lot of people being turned away? Are there people trying to get in that just because of the...
We have had one person who called us maybe this week. Part of the problem is we typically do an individualized meeting with the family to do an assessment, figure out what their support needs are. It takes us a good couple of weeks to get to the point to be ready to support that person. So typically we don't add someone once camp starts anyway.
Gotcha.
Because of the difficulty of doing that. Just with, in camp free to be typically. But given just how our staff is stretched and how we wouldn't necessarily be able to prep staff in an effective way for most people that would come to that program. No, I wouldn't say really many people have been turned away, Joe, if much at all. We had a decent amount of people that just simply said, hey, listen, this is not the year for us. Like we've already got a planned childcare situation. So we're moving forward with what we have because it's less risk. And that's understandable.
Right.
So we had kind of some natural attrition that took us to where we are. Any other questions or comments?
No. So I guess it doesn't really look like there's much else on the agenda.
There's not.
No new business or pending business. Anything to be brought up in other business?
Nothing.
I guess, is there a motion to adjourn then?
Tibbs will make that.
I'll second, Chris.
Okay. Joe Cassidy,
Aye.
Robert Johnson,
He might have ducked out. He said he had another meeting, but
I think he's muted.
I'm sorry.
okay,
I'm trying,
thank you.
yeah.
Chris Corrigan,
Aye.
Kevin Yates,
Aye.
Shane Flaker,
Aye.
Brian Tibbs,
Aye.
and Lorelei Cox.
Here. Yes.
Here.
Well, it's good to see all of you. Hopefully
right,
next month we'll be able to meet in person. But given that we are having camp still here and just the potential of that, I felt like Zoom was another good call for this month. So
Yeah.
we will try to shoot for HISRA, meeting at HISRA next month if that works for everybody.
Sounds good.
Hey, I don't want to speak for everybody, Katie, but don't rush it. I mean, whatever's best is perfectly fine. I think we're all kind of used to this if this is what it needs to be for a while. So
Okay. Great.
Yep,
Thank you so
sounds good.
much.
All right, thanks, Katie.
Have a great night.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.